Hello, once again, I welcome you all to ST7 TV. And today we are here again to talk to you about something that is going on globally. That many people are complaining and also sharing their opinions concerning the issues that went on. Okay, the issue here is that we are going to talk about the Brazilian Carnival. The Brazilian Carnival. Many people were saying, they were showing videos on social media, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and so many places expressing their opinions on these issues and also saying all sort of things, either good or bad, trying to share their opinion or to say something about it. The existence of God in the good old ages of our forefathers, before the beginning of the world, when God created earth. He created heaven and earth. And then there is a story that the evil tempted what? Adam and Eve. They gave them a fruit and so many things, and then evil came into the existence of the world. We are going to try to explain something small to you people so that those who don't understand the source, the meaning, the origin of the Brazilian Carnival, we also know something a little about it. Though maybe we cannot give you 100% vivid information about it, we will try our best to give you some information about it. So let's go to the point. The Brazilian Carnival. I want to make it clear today so that everybody will know that Brazilian Carnival was not something that was a Brazilian culture. The Brazilian Carnival was introduced into Brazil in the 16th to 17th century by the slave masters, by the colonizers, by the Portuguese, and also from the Catholic system from Italy. Because the Catholic or the Roman system, the Roman Empire was able to dominate most of the continent or many places, they were also able to impose their culture and also system onto the people so that they can also practice. Because of that, when you come to Brazil here, the churches that are powerful, the most powerful church in Brazil, which has dominance, which has more population, more people, many people, is the Roman Catholic Church. In the 16th century, they introduced the carnival into the Brazilian system with the intention that maybe they are going to do what? Use it as a game, as a festival for the slaves. So at the end of every year, they gather them at one place, like how the Roman Empire did some years ago, thousands of years ago, that they gather people at a Roman stadium or whatever they call it. I don't know how to call that name, or I don't know how to call their stadium in the Italy. That they gather people like a game. Then they release lions, they release dogs, and so many things to eat people, slaves who has offended or in one way or other has done some mistake or has done something wrong. It's the same thing applies to one that they brought to Brazil here. And they introduced it in the 16th century. And at the end of every year, they gather these people to celebrate, to do something on the road or in the middle of the road, on the street. Sometimes it was like a manifestation. People also come out like a demonstration and also trying to show something, to tell them something that today we are here. We are also showing that we are also people. We are someone. The Carnival is a popular festival marked by exaggerations. It is a strong connection with Catholicism and has a link with festival held in antiquity. Carnival is a popular festival marked by exaggeration, and it has a strong connection with Catholicism. That's as I was saying previously. It was the Catholic system, the Catholic or the Roman system, who introduced Catholicism, who introduced what? Carnival into the Brazilian system. When they brought it like a game. They brought it like something like, oh, let's do it every year, like a festival, like a normal festival. So all these things went on in the 16th to 17th century, and then they did all these things. They said Carnival is a traditional popular festival held in different parts of the world, the most celebrated in Brazil, despite the strong secularism present in Carnival. The party is traditionally linked to Catholicism since its celebration precedes Lent. Carnival is not a Brazilian invention as it is origin by its antiquity. Brazilian Carnival is not from Brazil. It's from the Roman system, from Italy, and also the Portuguese, who were the colonial masters of the Brazilian system or the colonial masters of Brazil, who brought the slaves all the way from Africa to Brazil to farm for them in their coffee farm, sugarcane farm, sorghum, millet, and soya bean farm. They did what? They brought this culture, this system from the Portuguese, which they adopted from the Roman system and brought it to Brazil. So the Brazilians started what? Celebrating it. Sometimes they pour dirty things on the road, they pour urine on the road, they cut sticks. Anything at all that they will get hand on it, they pour it on the road. Like for them, they are celebrating to the gods of the land, and also for them it's like they are celebrating it for them to be happy. The word carnival comes from the word Latin canis levale, canis levale, which means to remove the meat. Remove the meat of what? This is the point we are asking now, that we are going to remove the meat of what? This sense is related to the feast that should be performed during the Lent, and also to the control of the worldly pleasures. Worldly pleasures. Worldly pleasures. So I don't know. What are they trying to say? For their pleasure. For their pleasure. So it's like a game, it's like a festival that they were celebrating. So as time goes on, they started doing it, and as you know, even technology started improving. And today you can have a video call, you can have so many things, you can send pictures. But in the good old ages of our forefathers, during this time that I'm saying, this 16th century, there were no telephones, there were no technology, and so many things. So imagine this thing came as a small game or festival that they were celebrating. As time goes on, then they started improving it. You see? So this demonstrates an attempt by the Catholic Church to control the wishes of the faithful. This demonstrates an attempt by the Catholic Church to control the wishes of the faithful. So today, if you are saying maybe the Brazilian system or the Brazilians are what? Having a festival, a carnival, and the carnival is an abomination. And due to that, it rained to the extent that many people died, erosion all over the place, buildings collapsed, and so many things, companies, and so many things that they lost in Brazil. I want you who doesn't know that even though they did all these things, where from this carnival? What is the source? What is the foundation? Who brought it to Brazil? It was the Catholic Church. It was the Catholic Church who brought Carnival to Brazil. and they impose it on the slaves in Brazil with the intention to control their what? To control the people. But to control them, they use it like indirectly, like a game, indirectly, like a festival. So as people were growing up and people were, or let's say, knowing so many things, and also, let's say, someone would say their eye were opening. Yeah, they did what? They started expanding it and also improving the system of the carnival. The origin of the carnival, some scholars understand carnival as a Christian festival. Some scholars. You, those people who call yourself scholars, and you said, oh, you are intelligent, do so forth and so on, and you people think the carnival is a Christian festival, a Christian festival. Can you tell me, or can you tell the public, the people, the world, that all these things that went on during the carnival, you, the scholars, are saying is a Christian festival? So, what is Christianity? Does it mean that Christianity is joking with an image of Jesus Christ, dressing someone like Jesus Christ and someone like a Satan, and then pulling Jesus Christ on the ground like a slave to where? To slaughter, or what? Is it a cow, or is it a pig? Is it a goat? Is it a sheep that you are going to what? Slaughter, that you are pushing on the ground like what? An animal. Those people who were dressed in black like demons and all sort of things, that they were there joking with the one on the floor, which shows, or like an example of imitating or maybe playing jokes with the Lord God. Are they Christians? If they are Christians, what is the meaning of what they did? So scholars understands Carnival is a Christian, as a Christian festival, since its origin, in the way we understand the festival today, is directly related to the Latin feast or fast. This does not prevent tracing the historical origin that show us the what influence that carnival suffered from the festivals that existed in antiquity. In Babylon, two festivals possibly originated that we know as carnival. The Sakais were a celebration in which the prisoner assumed for a few days the figure of the king, dressing like him, eating in the same way, and sleeping with his wives. If I don't know if you may understand this part, the king himself dresses, lay in bed with 3, 4, 5, 20, 20, 30, 40, or 50 mulheres, and sleeping with his wife, jubilating, drinking, dancing, and doing all sorts of things. And the slaves, or these people also, will be there, and then they will be jubilating, dancing, and doing all sorts of things. So the Catholic system, the Catholic Church, introduced this thing into the Brazilian system, and then they started doing it. And today they will turn around and come and tell you it's an evil thing. Another rite was performed by the king in the period close to the Veral, a time of celebration of the new year, Mesopotamia. Mesopotamia, yeah. Where does Mesopotamia or Mesopotamia? I don't know how to pronounce Mesopotamia, yeah. Where is it located? Is it located in Europe? Or is it located in Brazil? That's the question we have to ask ourselves over here. The ritual took place in the temple of the Marduk, one of the first Mesopotamian gods. The ritual took place in the Temple of the Marduk, one of the first Mesopotamian gods, were the king lost of his emblems of the power and was beaten in front of the statue of Marduk. This humiliation served as a demonstrate. This humiliation served to demonstrate the king's submission to divinity. Then the origin took the throne. So these things came to Brazil and also they started doing it. But before it will come to Brazil, they came from Italy and those Portuguese people and they introduced it into the Brazil. They were still in Rome. You see? So um Christianity and festival, as people say. This festival mentioned were of the course pagan celebration and were extremely popular with with the strengthening of its power. The church did not look favorably on this celebration in which people indulged the worldly pleasures. In this conception of Christianity, there was criticism of the invasion of the social positions because for the church, by inverting the role of each person in society relating between the gods of the devil, the god and the devil relationship, the relationship between the god and the devil was inverted. This is where they practice all these things on that day, and people see and they do what? They come out and complain. They say what? For the church, by inverting the role of each person in the society, the relationship between the relationship between God and the devil was also inverted. Catholic Church then sought to re-signify them by giving them a more Christian sense. During the High Middle Age, Lent was created, a period of 40 days before Easter, characterized by fasting. Later, the festivals held by the people were concentrated in this period and named Canis Levaris. The church was thus intended to keep a date for the people to commit their excesses before the period of the religious severity. At the time, Carnival lasted for several weeks between the Christmas and Easter. So if you may understand this part, you can see that this Christmas or this Carnival issue that they are celebrating and people are touching them or people are saying that it's evil, it's evil, it's evil. Yeah, we do understand, we agree with you. But my point is that where is the source? Where from the carnival? What is the origin of the carnival? Who invented carnival? Who introduced carnival? Who brought carnival? The so-called Christian, the so-called Catholic or Catholicism. They brought carnival. Like Easter and Christian or Easter and Christmas. What is the meaning of Easter? What is the meaning of Christmas? They brought carnival in the middle and they also celebrate it as they want it. And today, because of technology or because they said their eyes are open, now they know many things. They have also done what? Improved the way they also do it, and today you are complaining. You see, the history of Carnival in Brazil began in the colonial period. In the colonial period, one of the first Carnival manifestation was the Carnival, a game of Portuguese origin that in the colony was practiced by slaves. So as I said, I made mention earlier on, the carnival was something that was introduced into Brazil by the slave masters, the colonizers, and they introduced it into Brazil, and then it was practiced by slaves. The history of carnival in Brazil began in the colonial period. So during the existence of slavery, during the existence of the colonial masters, in the good old ages of our forefathers, where they were doing what? They were celebrating, or they were having slaves as slave masters, also as they used to say. They introduced this thing from Italy and Portugal into Brazil, and people started celebrating it, as I made mention of earlier on. So it was introduced by they were introduced in the colonial period. One of the first carnival manifestation was Carnival. So they introduced it and gave the name Carnival, like a game of Portuguese origin. A game of Portuguese origin. And then it was practiced by the slaves. Let me give you an example. As I made mention in the, let's say, in the Italian system, in the American system, where they introduced boxing. I'm just trying to divert something small so you understand. Like boxing, in the colonial system, in the colonial period, where they introduced boxing, they started boxing with the slaves. So the slave masters will sit down, and I will bring my slave, you will bring your slave, Kwejo will bring his slave, Gabriel will bring his slave, and all of us are going to sit down. And we are going to toast a money, like maybe we are going to say, okay, I'll contribute money, let's bring money. So my slave and your slave will be there, and they will be fighting. And then at the end of the day, the one whom you will kill, if I kill you, I won, and then my master will take money from the other master. So it came to a time that they started doing it. It came to a time now, don't kill the person anymore. Now you can do what? You just beat the person up. When you win, I take the money. That's where we got boxing. That's the source of boxing. So now, the carnival also was introduced. The history of carnival in Brazil began in the colonial period, not today. It was one of the first carnival manifestation was Carnival, a game of Portuguese origin, a game of Portuguese origin, a game of what? Portuguese origin. You see? So, that, a game of Portuguese origin that in the colony was practiced by slaves. In it, people took, in the carnival, during the carnival, people took the streets, dirtying each other by throwing mud. This is where the carnival came from. During the carnival, people go out. It's like a game, like a festival, like jubilation, like a party, like something that at the whole year, at the end of the year, these slaves are going to work and work and work and work. But 1 year within the year, during 40 days before the Christmas, after Christmas and Easter, they do what? They come to the streets, and then they do what? They throw mud, urine, and etc. Stones, woods, leaves, and so many things. You see, and Shrovetide. Shrovetide was banned in 1841. Continued in the mid-20th century. Later came to the Condens and Ranchos ballroom parties. So now, through that, they introduced something they called a dance called Samba. When you come to Brazil here, there are forró, there are so many different types of dances, but the one they are using for this carnival is called Samba. So through that, they invented what they call samba. So it's the samba they use, that they dance, that they be shaking that with that drums. They call samba in Brazil here. You see? So they introduced the samba and people started practicing the samba, which is an origin dance from the African continent by the slaves that came to Brazil. And then they started dancing. You see? So the samba, also afrox, frevos, and maracatus also became part of the Brazilian carnival cultural tradition. So in the olden days when they started it raw, normal, singing and also going. But they also introduced, as they started bringing, many slaves were coming. These slaves also, some people also came and they realized that this thing that we are doing is very nice. So why don't we introduce something like a dance, like a drum, something special to it, so that it will make it so nice and beautiful for people to do what? To follow, or to do what? To like it. So they introduced the dance called samba. And then the samba, they added it to what they were doing that their slave masters also brought to them. And then they started doing all those things. Now, samba and other musical genres were incorporated into the largest cultural event in Brazil, as I said. So the what? The Brazilian Carnival traditional, whatever they call it, or whatever they call it, they introduced the samba, and then it was incorporated into the largest cultural event in Brazil. Now, it's like a process. It came from somewhere, a beginning, an origin, a story, and then it came to a place where what? They started doing all those things. If you are if you are curious about the subject, you can see that, or if you want to know more about it, or if you want to, let's say, understand, for you to understand what we are saying, it's like the thing came from the Roman and the Portuguese system through the Catholic Church, or the Catholicism. They introduced into the Brazilian system, and the Brazilian people started celebrating it by the slaves. It came to a time that what they introduced samba, and then they started using the samba as their hot. It's like a way of dance with drums, and then they started doing all these things. You see? So the carnival has many, many, many stories that you may not even understand, and you will not even know the origin of this carnival. But they tried their best to do all that they can, so that they can do what? Celebrate the carnival at the end of every year, during, after Christmas and before Easter. During the carnival, medieval, around the 11th century, in the fertile period of the agriculture, young men who dressed up as women would go out to the streets and fields during some nights. They claimed to be inhabitants of the frontier of the world of the living and the dead, and also invaded homes. So now, these men will go outside and they will do all those things, and then that's what you were seeing on the road, on the parade. So now, as we say, oh, now this world, we don't need all those things anymore. You cannot invade someone's house. You cannot do this. You cannot do all that. You cannot do all that. They said, okay, now why don't we then parade to one place? We celebrate our festival and also bring all those things together as one people, and then we enjoy ourselves. That's where this carnival issue came about. They claimed to be inhabitants of the deaf and invaded. They claimed to be inhabitants of the frontier of the world of the living and the deaf. So they think that they are the frontiers, they are the middlemen between death and life. So they started doing, I'm trying to explain to you so that you can understand the source, the origin of all these things that you are seeing on television today. That people are complaining, people are saying, good, it's good for you to complain. But for them, I want you to understand something. For them, they don't see it as uh, maybe let's say God is angry with them, a punishment from God. For them, they think it is the gods of their land that listened to their prayers. You see, they see it as what? The gods of the land. Okay. So with the acceptance of those who live there, filling themselves with food and drinks, and also with the kisses of the young women in their houses. Here in Brazil, when it reached a time of the Carnival, fornication raises up very high, and also even condom can even short. That's what they are saying here. When you go to the carnival during that period, they will steal your phone, they can murder you, they can kill you, they can rape you, they can kidnap you, they can do anything at all to you. And then as time goes on, as our people came, prostitution also rises in Brazil, and many things also goes on. So all these things were incorporated into the system of the carnival that they used to celebrate during the slave masters, during the slave period or the colonial period. You see, during the resistance in Italian cities, Commedia dell'arte emerged, improved the theaters, those whose popularity until the 18th century in Florence songs and also created to accompany the parade, which also featured decorated cars. This is where, or this is what you saw. They did what? In the Italian cities, as I made mention on, where is the head of the Roman or the Catholic system or the Catholic Church is located in Italy. So, a commedia, a commedia, a commedia, a commedia, Del Archie. I don't know how to pronounce the name very well, but I'm trying to give you some information over here. Emerged improvised theater whose popularity lasted until the 18th century. In Florence, songs were created to accompany parades, which also featured decorated cars, triumphi, the decorated cars, the triumphi. Okay. In the Rome and Venice, participants wore turbata, a cape with a black hood that covered shoulders and head, in the addition to three-cornered hats and the white marks. So, all that you are seeing during the what? The carnival is like something that they did what? They were doing. They introduced into the system. And then they did all these things to make the people feel that, oh, it's a game, it's a festival, it's a day. So they did all this with these designs and statues and so forth. Now, those people who also had their Buddhism or their rituals, their smaller gods and rituals and so forth, they also tried to incorporate or also involve this part of what their ritual system, their let's say in Banda, Buddhism, Arisha, and all those. Here, if you come to Brazil, they have some names that they give for their what their gods, like their small gods. Yes, so they did all these things and they tried to use all these things. So during that time, they do their sacrifices like a festival in Africa. They do all these things and then they come out in a parade to dance. But for them to be in one place, for people to come and see, they go to those stadiums or those big places so that they join together and then they demonstrate all these things to the people, which was invented in the good old ages of their forefathers and fathers by the colonial masters, especially from Portugal, which has a root from the Italy or the Italian system or the Catholic system. From the 16th century, there were initiatives to impose control over carnival parties on the continents. This attempt at silencing was a reaction to a religious conflict that affected Europe at the time, but it can also be explained as a way of imposing social control. Another explanation may be prevailing conservation that sought to demonize popular festivals. So, this is what happened. So, the Brazilian Carnival came as a history. The history of the Carnival began in the colonial masters. So, they were the people who brought the what? The Carnival to Brazil, and the Brazilians also started doing what? But one thing I want you to understand is that when they brought it to Brazil and they were doing, there were our own African people who also tried to like maybe improve it. So they started using their idols, they started using their magic, black power, and sort of things. And then they did what? They started doing it. So it came to a time that okay, then we have to improve the system of the Brazilian what carnival, and they improved it. And now today they show you all those things or all these things on television. They show you in public. People travel all over the world, come to Brazil just to what? To enjoy. But people has forgotten that it was the church that brought this carnival to Brazil. It was the church that brought carnival to Brazil. So it came to a time that they have to do what? Do all these things, doing it so that the people will enjoy. One thing I want all you also to understand that the carnival that they celebrated over here, the main people, the citizens, for them, they don't see it as an evil thing. Only some few, let's say about 5%. But the remaining for them, they think it's a festival for them that they have to celebrate. So people travel all over the places, go to these places. You see the stadiums and all those things full up in the videos that you people are watching on social media. It's the same people who goes around this place. They give holiday here in Brazil to celebrate that festival. It's a holiday, 21st of February. They start from maybe 15th of February, 13th of February, state by state, and they celebrate it. So during that period, people will go travel all over. I know someone who traveled from Sao Paulo to Pernambuco because of the festival, because that's her state. That's the state where he or she comes from. So as they do it region by region, or state by state, they go to these places and they do what they celebrate. It's like how in Ghana we go to Kwewu during the Easter. They too, they go to these places to celebrate the festival. That's how it looks like in Brazil, or that's how it goes in Brazil. So your own Christians that you people are saying that they are this, they are this, they are this, they are this, they are doing evil, they are doing is your own Christians who go to these places. It's your own Christians who go to this carnival. Those people who you may say, oh, they are not Christian, they indulge in maybe different religions and traditional religions and so forth and so on. For them, they are just few. But almost about 80% of the Christians, they go there to watch these things. The other religion, they are the one practicing it. But those people who go there to watch is your own Christians who go there to watch these things. You see? So The Brazilian Carnival was something that was introduced into Brazil by the colonial masters through the Catholic Church. And then they incorporated something we call Samba with a dance. And then as time goes on, they realized that let's do something so that to make the thing very attractive. Then they started doing it. But behind doors, behind the scene, they have some rituals that they do. So with these rituals, let me give you an example. When you go to those Muslims countries or their religion, I'm not trying to accuse anybody here. I'm just giving an example so that you understand what I'm trying to say. During their Christmas or their festivities or festivities or whatever they call it, they do what? They kill their cow, they hang it somewhere, they remove the skin, they hang it somewhere. Then they go to their prayer temple, the mosques, they will pray. After prayers, they will come back and then it will rain heavily, heavy rain, cat and dog. That's what they say. It will rain. And then this meat will be on the rain. I stand to be corrected. But I lived in Zongo for 4 or 5 years. So I saw something like that. They'll hang it sometime on a tree with they will hang it and then it will rain. After the rainfall, they will take it and then they will clean it and then they will do all sort of things. It's a nice system for them. It's like the meat that they hang it over there is their body full of sin. So after the rainfall, it means the rain has washed away their sins. Okay. Now, in Brazil here, for them, they also did some sacrifices, very big ones. I can't tell you it's cow, and I can't tell you it's human being, or it's a dove, or it's a cat, or it's a dog, but they did sacrifices. I make big capital letters, so big ones, sacrifices. So, the gods of the land that they think that they are serving, that they think that, oh, they are powerful, that they can control things for them, they also accepted their prayers. So here, with the rainfall, whether it's from God or it's for the gods of their land who accept their prayers, which shows that it has rained. So the next year will be a year of blessing for them, as people also pray for Yam Festival. They pray for rainfall. They pray for all those things. They too, they did their sacrifices and also prayed to their gods. And the next day, it rained. So for them, the mere Christian person who thinks it's God who has done, yeah, we believe it's God who did it. But for them, that they celebrated those things. And for them, they will not tell you it's God's punishment to them because of what they did. Dragging Jesus Christ as an image on the floor, whip him, bringing a statue of the evil of the devil. For them is what they think is good for them and they are doing. So this rainfall that it came around for them, they think it is the gods of the land that answered their prayers, which shows that all that they did, all the sacrifices that they did or they offered, the gods of the land has what? Accepted their prayers, and due to that, they are going to do what? Get blessings for the next year. So it's your own Christians, your own people, your own Christians who believe in Jesus Christ and pray to God through the church. 80% of them were at these events. They were there. And they don't see it as the cause of this problem. For them, they thought it's a normal rainfall because in Brazil, January, February, it rains a lot. It rains a lot in Brazil. So for them, they see it as what? Doing sacrifice today and tomorrow it rained means for them, they think it's what? It's a normal thing. So those people, I don't know what, those of you out there saying God punished them and this, fine, God punished them. Many people died. Many people died. But for them as an individual, for them who did that thing, they think for them, in their opinion, in their mind, The backside of their mind. For them, they think is what? The gods of the land who opened doors of heaven or doors or whatever they think to them, and then they bless them for what they did. Because the festival was within a period of 1 week. All this 1 week, it did not rain. Oh. It did not rain. All this 1 week, it did not rain. So after the festival, it rained. So it's like a blessing to them. I'm not saying you, it's for them. That's their opinion. That's that's what their mind. That's their belief. So today we came to your doorsteps to give you some small information about the carnival so that you understand what is going on and also know the region of the carnival. Carnival was introduced into Brazil by the colonial masters during the colonial period by Catholic Church or the Catholic system because they brought it into Brazil. We thank you once again and also for having time with us. Please subscribe to the channel, like and share. Click on the notification bell for more updates so that in case we drop any video, you'll be the first person to get in touch with. We are here to tell you all that Brazil has and anything that has to do with Africa. God bless you all and be with you all. Thank you.